Okay, here's my sound preferences. I like a variety of different tunings, but really what gets my juices flowing, starting from the lower octaves, is in the bass. I like my bass punchy, tight, fast with a kick. I like a little bit of energy down there, maybe a little bit of warmth, but not too much getting into bass bleeding. It's got to have enough weight to make male vocals, make piano, cello, percussions, have the right tonality. When it comes to my mids, I do like my mids and mid clarity, but I don't like too forward a mid, so that's the upper mids I'm talking about. So keep the pinna gain down a little bit and not make it too forward a presentation. And when it comes to the highs, I do like my sparkly highs. At my age, I'm probably losing a little bit of the high frequencies. But not too much where it's sibilant and in your face. So that's what I like. Stone Deaf Monk here, I'm checking off a box of one IM that I had on my radar for a long time now, and finally got around to getting a hold of one. Thank you to crusty old bastard, the Canuck Audioholics resident audiophile, who happened to pick up this set. Used, and I'm glad he did, and I got a chance to listen to it and share my impressions with you. So let's jump into this bad boy. I don't have the full unboxing here, but see if I can pull up a picture of its accessories. This one lists for $800. Doing my research, I see Music Tech has it on sale for $640, which is good, because this one is going to be compared against another couple sets that are in that $600 to $700 price range. This is the JOMO Audio Nautilus. This is their steampunk inspired by... Now, I just did some analytics on my channel, and I'm going to say this. Please don't take offense, but that movie 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea probably came out when most of you were in diapers. It was a very inspiring movie. Kind of loved it. State-of-the-art effects and all kinds of happy shit. Big squid. Very good. Very cool. That's where the steampunk kind of inspired look came from. Like it was a very cool movie. I mean, the whole kind of super high-tech kind of operation room of that submarine, and that's where it got inspired to. There's some abalone shell inlaid in these things. Very cool with these kind of gold, right? I'll pull up some better pictures. Really nice, kind of funky looking, super, got some weight to them, got some premium. This set is stamped, I think, with the serial number. That's a nice touch. There's a big vent hole right beside the flush two-pin connector. And there's another one on the other side as well. So really nice. No driver flex or pressure for me, so that was really nice. And it comes with this really quite baller fabric 2-core cable that is actually quite soft. I think I just had one as well. I did the Enzo with the same kind of cable, but really like cardboard stiff. This is actually quite nice. And I liked it and used it throughout my listening impressions. It's terminated with a 4.4. It says JOMO audio on both the splitter and the plug. So again, the touches to the details, quite nice here. Now, the nozzles are angled quite nicely back into, and I do talk about that in some of my reviews. So shell shape, nozzle angle, how it angles back into the natural shape of your ear. This one is done very, very well. Smaller nozzles, I didn't measure it, but it's less than, I think, 6 mil. And ear tips were great. So my advice on this one, if you're picking this setup, would be to put it on a brighter cable. It's just got this copper cable to it, but I think it needs more sparkle, and we'll get into that in the tuning here right after this. So what's inside? Well, there's a 10 millimeter diamond-like carbon driver for the bass, and I'm assuming for the mids. Then there is a 6 millimeter planar, they saying for the highs. Now, this is housed in a 3D printed resin chamber, and there's the dynamic driver, and then there's the 6 millimeter planar underneath it, and they're actually firing down like this. Now, the dynamic driver doesn't look like it has any sound tubes. It actually fires out directly into the nozzle, which is really interesting because you can hear that. And then the planar has its own sound tube going out through the nozzle. And the Sonyan bone conduction driver, so that's the third element in here. There's 2 of those. And they're saying that adds to the mid-range texture. So the planar is supposed to be doing the highs. The bone conduction drivers are supposed to add to the mid-range texture. And the dynamic drivers are really doing most of the heavy lifting, which is great because it's quite nice. So overall presentation, nice, great shells, great look. I love it. I love the theme. I love how they carried the theme on throughout. I think that was very well done. And I really like the work that went into the design and engineering that went into this IM. So it shows JOMO Audio did put some thought and engineering into this. It's also reflected in that list price of $800, which, quite honestly, I don't think it competes in that space. At the 640, it might, and again, it might depend on what you are looking for. So, just before shooting this video, I did my measurements, and it kind of came out the way I was expecting it to, the way I heard it anyway. So if we punch that up, I can show you that. And what you got here. I mean, you got a nice bass shelf. I mean, everything is staying relatively in check. The bass kind of flows nicely into the mids. It adds some really nice texture. Weight, I should say, actually, to like male vocals and cello and stuff down below. So I did like string instruments in the lower octaves quite a lot. They do sound quite natural. Where the bass has a nice weight to it, and it does pull down when it's asked to politely, but it's not very textured in my opinion, and really kind of just is there, not really ever overbearing or too much in my opinion. I do like my bass, but it's not a really bassy IM. And it helps out the mids quite nicely. And that's, in my opinion, where the real magic of this set kind of lies. It's a very natural sounding mids, and I don't know if that's because the dynamic driver is firing without a sound tube. I think that's part of it. And part of why the bass sounds so good is with these metal shells. I've always said that. I think metal shells sound better in the bass department than resin shells do. The mids do sound like you're listening to speakers instead of listening to an IM with drivers that are the sounds being forced through sound tubes. That's the way it comes off. It does sound more, speaker-like. And when it gets up into the ear gain, that's where you're going to notice things, and if you like this kind of tuning, right? So here there is now more energy. Again, it starts to climb around 800, 900 hertz, and has that little peak around 2K and a dip at 3, and then more energy around 4K. And here you get a very nice sense of vocal presence. Sometimes some tracks come through, and especially on different sources, on a more resolving source, they come through a little bit more forward. If you had this maybe on like a typical Hibby player, it would become probably more forward yet. And on a warmer source, it comes through quite nicely, kind of balanced out actually. So it really, this wasn't source picky, but it was nice in that way that you can kind of sculpt it a little bit. Now, in the top end, well, I'll just say it too. I actually quite like the vocals and the lower instrumentals quite a lot on this set. I do think they sound quite good and quite natural sounding. So the top end, though, here is where in the tuning, it gives just enough energy, really, and sparkle and shimmer up top in the upper registers. Right? Is it the most airy and detailed set? No. Again, I'll pull up this graph, and you can kind of see where at around 4K, it starts to take a pretty big dip. And we have seen this quite a lot in the 2025. So there's that pretty big V again, down to 6K, and then back up around 8K to add a little bit more sparkle and shimmer. But some people are going to notice that and say, again, there's something missing in the treble. If you're a treble head, you're probably not going to like the set too much. There's just not enough information up top maybe for you. String instruments like that, again, sound a bit thin and hollow sounding, not quite as detailed and sharp as maybe I would be looking for as well. I think this set focuses more on musicality than it does on the airy trebly details and sparkliness up top. So, and that also plays into a part where the stage for me is more, and even on ESS sources where it instead of having a wall of sound in front of you, like a Sirius Logic or an AKM sound, in ESS it kind of moves it back and gives it a more 3D effect. But I just don't think there's enough information up top in that air region to bring out a really 3D stage. So this is more intimate and center of head, and there's like a wall of sound, this way, right? But closer, more intimate. So that's how I heard this set overall. Really, really a good listen. It's a really, especially on a warm source. I was listening to it on the $4,000 Burson Conductor GT4. Really phenomenal headphone amp. It brings out the best. There's a review coming for that. Everything I've listened to on that amplifier is fantastic. Well, not everything, but it really brings out the best in all the gear. So, and it really did a good job for this too. I mean, you could strap that thing in, put the Nautilus in your ears, and honestly just kick back and listen to music for many hours, as I did. And I did enjoy this set quite a lot. Now, in this review, I'm also going to throw it up against two more to give you an idea. So two of my other favorite sets. Let's start off with the $649 ISN EBC80. So here, there's two ESTs from Sonyan. There's two balanced armatures from Knowles and Sonyan. There is two bone conduction drivers from Sonyan, and there's two 8mm LCP liquid crystal polymer plastic woofers, dynamic drivers in this. So 2, 2, 2, and 2 for $649, right? So less than the sale price of what you would get for this one on sale. So The EBC80 sounds more balanced. The upper mids are not pushed out as much as I'm going to call this one the Nemo, but also sounds cleaner, more precise, making it probably the better vocal set, in my opinion. So when switching from like rock music to with vocals to classical music, here's where the EBC80 really shines more as a all rounder than the Nautilus does, because the sound is really different between these two sets, right? So much more balanced on the ISN, less V-shaped instrument details, and the top end really shines and comes through with the ISN, with that combination of EST drivers and the bone conduction versus the planar driver and bone conduction in the Nautilus. So for those looking for a more maybe intimate soundstage that don't want to be pulled away from your music, the Nautilus is good. Maybe a little bit more vocal presence. Again, the Nemo, the Nautilus, is where you were going to go to that one. I think they're both phenomenal sets. But I think in this, well, the ISN EBC80 being less expensive does outclass, in my opinion, the JOMO Audio Nautilus. So that was one. The other one I wanted to compare against was the 5BA, $699, so a little bit more, again, from the sale price of the Nautilus. This is the SoftEars RS5 MKii. I love this set quite a bit. Doesn't get as much play as it honestly should. It's a fantastic set. The RS5 hits much harder and has more texture in the bass with more depth to the notes. Here I'm talking about balanced armatures versus a dynamic driver, and I'm telling you that the RS5 MKii hits harder, sounds more textured, there's more depth to the notes, you can hear more information when the drum skin hits, and it's not only faster, but there's also more bass, and it's just a better sounding bass. And it pulls down just as low, if not lower, in the bass department, sub-bass wise, as the Nautilus does with its dynamic driver. So here, a balanced armature, in my opinion, is outclassing a dynamic driver. The RS5, though, does a significantly better job with details and layering out of the instruments, and the stage is a whole lot more 3D and on class with the EBC80 as well. But here, the naturalness of the mids, like, and I did like it on the JOMO, but I think it doesn't sound as forced, as pushed out front as it does with the Nautilus. So, and for me, that it's making, and then you could pick up more details in the top end, being, I think, more balanced in what you can pull out of the music. For me, the RS5 MKii is just better all around in every metric. So that's how, I mean, again, if I had my $699 to spend, which of these three would I pick up? My first choice would be the RS5 MKii. The second would be the EBC80 from ISN, and the JOMO would be my third pick. I do like my stage, and the two others do on the JOMO. And again, it's nice being a little bit more balanced and being less mid-forward. Again, I like that with the other two sets over top of the Nautilus. And again, so this is one of these that you might like the sound of the Nautilus better than the other two if you're looking for a more vocal forward presentation, more V-shaped, and you're super treble sensitive. The Nautilus might be an absolute perfect candidate for you. I mean, you get great accessories, beautiful build quality, awesome looking IM. It's unique. So it has a lot of things going for it as well. My final word, if JOMO Audio watches this, I think you do have to be a little careful with your pricing. You can't price yourself at that $800 because this is your competition. You're not competing at that $800 in that price range. And especially with, even though I can see the technology that you put into that too, but TSN does that at $50 with the 3D printed resin cavity too. So what I'm saying is maybe look at your pricing. I know you're smaller, but if this thing was around the $500 price point, I think you would slay. So I just think your price point is maybe a little bit higher than it should be. And I'm looking forward to maybe hearing some more of your sets too, because I think this company's on the right track. I do think this thing has a lot to go for it as well. So thank you for watching my video, and thanks to all those who watched my last one and subscribed, and good luck for winning maybe a Dunu 142, and I'm going to try and do more of that in the future. So keep it up, and thank you so much once again. This is Tone Deaf Monk. I'm out for now.